I've been in construction a long time. I'm 66 years old and I started when I was 19. That's a long time. But for the first 5 years as a carpenter, being paid to do carpenter work, it was all pretty much just residential general carpentry, not much concrete. And I knew I was weak at concrete. The next 8 years were spent in Las Vegas. And a lot of that time was commercial production, kick butt concrete work. And I learned a lot of tricks and I saw a lot of things that I had never imagined, but I'll always be glad that I learned. I moved to Oregon and concrete as a specialization became a big part of what I've done for the last, 30 years or anyhow, a lot of concrete. And one of the things that I learned over the last 30 years is that the perfect tool for even jobs that are considered to be mundane can increase your productivity and set you apart from everybody else that's doing that work. I want to talk about 5 or 6 tools right now that every concrete setup man ought to have or at least know about in order to set yourself apart from all the other guys that you have to keep up with. The first 3 of these I learned about in Las Vegas. And the first one of these is this hero. This is a job site hero. You've probably heard me brag about this before. It's a Burke bar. And if the company you work for doesn't provide these, save up $110, go online and buy one, or whatever they are, wherever you are, because if you keep this in your truck, it's not going to be long before people realize that guy can do things faster than anybody else, and he can do some things that no one else can do at all. The next thing I learned about in Las Vegas was a Spencer automatic rewind tape. Now, I knew all about these because I'd grown up logging, right? I grew up in a logging community with a logging family, and I had cut trees down and marked them and bucked them to length with one of these when I was a kid. But I hadn't made the connection that, gosh, those 100-foot wind-up tapes that everybody uses, the Lufkins and the Stanleys and whatever they are, they're great, but they're no better than that. The actual rule on a Spencer is as accurate as the rule on a steel tape of any other sort. And the difference is, it comes home all by itself while you're walking across a job site and getting ready to do the next task. If you have one of these, you are going to lap the guys on your layout crew that don't have it. So the next item also was an insight that I got in Las Vegas from those guys. And let me tell you, the American Southwest knows how to build things fast. But I was used to maybe what you're used to, and that is the plumb bob in your box has string wound around it or around a piece of cardboard, and it's always a wreck. By the time you get it out, untangle the string, use the plumb bob, and wind the string back up, you should have just gone to the truck and got a long level or something. Now, before I show you what I learned in Las Vegas, there's a fun fact about this old guy, and that is, it's full of mercury. I think this is a Starrett. I'm not going to unwind that to look at it, but there's, I don't know, a lot of mercury in there, which deadens the swing and deadens the spin, and that's cool, but I keep this around the shop, not on the job. But here's what I discovered in Las Vegas from the commercial setup guys and the surveyors that I worked around. A gammon reel, that's G-A-M-M-O-N, gammon, keeps your string in a usable condition. And your string and the plumb bob itself can ride in your bags and be ready to deploy anytime and then put away in a heartbeat. You're going to be moving on to the next station while your buddy is winding his line back up, putting the knot in it, and is no good to you for the rest of the day with a plumb bob. Get one of these things. Dennis Bunker was the big push for MS Concrete. Dennis Bunker was a hard man. He was a fair man, mostly, but he was an efficiency booster. He would yell, "Don't drink any more of that water than you can sweat out because we don't have time for you to stop to take a pee." And he wasn't kidding. And he insisted that we use no less than an 8-pound single jack for driving the stakes into the Las Vegas caliche. Okay, Dennis, you're gone now. You taught me a lot, and I love you, man, but you know, you don't have to have a heavy hammer to do the work. But what Dennis didn't know, and what I figured out and didn't bring to the market until last year, is that a single jack should have a digging spur on it, so you can drive the stakes and you can dig the dirt. And I invented this. I've got a patent on it. And if you want a form setter, that's what they're called, it's going to boost your productivity because you can drive the stakes, knock the tops off the rock, tear the whalers off the forms, you can pry and you can dig without walking back over to the truck to get a different tool. A form setter is a must, and you can go to the website and figure out how to buy one. By the way, if you're part of the Essential Craftsman Academy, you automatically get a 20% discount. So that's pretty easy to figure out. Now this last tool, it humbles me and it chagrins me and it kind of breaks my heart to have to admit this, because I did a video comparing a Makita Cordless and a Skillsaw Mag 77 with a 40 or 50 foot additional cord. And my conclusion was, and maybe still is, that if you have to have just one, for me it would be this one, because when you're working at height, this cord is such an asset for raising and lowering the saw. But concrete form setters don't work at height. We work in the dirt when we're setting forms. And this bad boy is a game changer. Your cord is not tangled up. You can go anywhere. It's handy. And so if you don't already have a cordless saw of some kind, and if you're a form setter, you probably ought to get one. In setting concrete forms out on the dirt, out on a job site that's strung out for 100 miles and you can't reach the power anyhow, or you're yelling measurements to the guy at the truck who's cutting off a generator, if you get one of these, and you probably already do, you'll find that it boosts your productivity. So, you know, I'm a guy that once I'm loyal to a tool, I'm loyal to a tool. And each one of these changes, with the exception of the Spencer and the gammon reel, took me a little soul searching before I made it. And without exception, once I made the change and experienced an increase in productivity because of having a superior tool, I was once again grateful and feeling blessed, in fact, to be able to do my job using the best tools available. That's key, isn't it? That we do our jobs with the best tools available and we relate to the people around us in the best way that we can, because the people around us are not exactly tools, are they? But they are definitely the biggest part of what makes life worthwhile and productive. Don't forget it. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.